Hi, this is Sarah, the Stitchin Mommy, and it's Monday, March 29th, and I'm here to give you my weekly cross-stitching update. And I have a decent amount to show and not a lot of time, so I may or may not get this finished today. I might have to finish the rest, film the rest this afternoon or tomorrow. We'll have to wait and see. So I'll do my best, but this may be late. It's the way it goes sometimes. So I do have a tiny bit of haul. The Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery released their Cozy Cafe Club finally here at the end of the month. Because they had to delay the start date they gave us those of us who were already in the club got a coupon code as a way of saying they were sorry that the date got pushed back. So with the coupon code, I decided to buy the Leaning Tower of Macarons, which is so cute. But my daughter loves these little cookies, especially the blue ones, because of Baby Yoda in The Mandalorian eats these in one of the episodes, and she thinks it's super cute. So I thought this would be fun to make her. I'm probably going to do it on a little 1/1 bookmark piece of fabric to make a bookmark, and then she could use that because she is reading a lot more now. She's in 2nd grade, and her reading skills have really blossomed this year, so I think that would be fun for her to have a little macaron bookmark. So I'm not sure when I'll start that, but I picked that up this week. Just a PDF, so I was able to get it right away. Next, I guess I will show you my travel stitching, because I don't have any other haul to show. This is my temperature typography. I did one more letter on this week, and I'm in March, obviously. I'm excited because the last couple days have been pretty warm, so hopefully the end of March here will have some nice change of colors. March has been a little weird, cooler than usual for Southern California. So here is where I am now. This is on 28 count mystery pale blue even weave 1/1, and I got the C finished. So it is warming up, no purples in the sea, but I had a lot of random purples here. So this, for once, is March came in like a lion, is probably going to go out like a lamb, because I'm sure I'll have some greens over here in the H. So usually March is all lamb in Southern California, and these cold colors would have been up in February or January. So we got some in January, hardly any in February. So it's like kind of been an interesting year, but it's been an interesting year for the weather in many places. In probably the whole world. I know a lot of the states have been pretty crazy this year. So this is my other travel piece, Prim Stitch Series number 8, Pleasant and Gentle. And I got a little bit done on this, not a whole lot. There was one stitching session. I was trying to work on the centers of these flowers, and I had an idea I wanted to do, and it wasn't working. The whole stitching session was basically a bust because it just never worked. So I need to go back and look at a stitch I did on a previous one to remember how I did it and see if that will work in this small of a space. And if not, just pick a different stitch and be done with it. But in the meantime, it's not done, and I wasted a stitching session, so that's too bad. But here is where I got to this past week. This is 25 count vintage cloth in the color Prim. You can get this at the Fat Quarter Shop. I'm doing mine 1/1, and I'm playing with the stitches, adding my own specialty stitches in random places. So like the leaves have some satin stitches, and this is like a little Rhodes stitch of sorts. I did this color on the outside of this star was also the dots on the sheep, so the sheep got started. And then I like to color complete on these little ones, so as much as I can. So I left the band out of her hat for now, because the band is also in her bodice and some of the dots on her skirt. So I was going to wait until I got her head and hand stitched before I did that color. There's some white dots in her skirt that will be the same white as the sheep. So I will probably play around and go back and forth between the sheep and the girl to color complete in a way that will let me do the specialty stitches last. Because I like to get all the cross stitches done within an area first before I add the specialty stitches. mainly just to help count, because then you have the structure around to know what space you have to work with, especially since I'm playing with it. The specialty stitches are not charted, making them up as I go. So having the extra cross stitches that I know will be there finished, and then I know what I have left to fill in. So that works the best, I think. And then I have my Mill Hill that's coming along slowly but surely. I'll work on this some more today, hopefully. It's gonna be a busy day, so hopefully I get to these things I have planned today. This is Winged Monarch, and I had a question. I haven't answered all the questions yet in my comments from this past week, but I'm planning to do 12 of these for the different months of the year. They are not all butterflies. I think this might be the only butterfly. I have some birds, I have some other flowers, I have some, I mean, they're seasonal, so there's different looking ones for different seasons. So there's a lot more than 12 to choose from. So you kind of have to pick which ones you like best if you want to do something like that, because it's not a set seasonal, like this one is January, this one is February. They have a whole bunch for winter, a whole bunch for spring, a whole bunch for summer, a whole bunch for fall. So you kind of just have to pick the ones that you feel you like best and hope that you like the choice you made. So, because it's hard to make the decision, because there are so many to choose from. So this is where I got to. This past week I got, I am working on all the called for 14 count perforated paper, threads, everything the kit came with. So I am just filling in the background. So I did some more on top, filled in all of this. This part is finished now, and then I came down here and added in the background colors, at least up here. I don't think there's any in here, so I did this part. And I think next time I'll come back. There's more down here, but no more around this flower, I don't think. So next time today I'll start filling in over here and do 2 or 3 lengths of thread as I have time. So it's coming along, and I am excited to get that finished stitching so I can add the beads. That'll be fun. All right, so I also worked on, I could show you Iris now, because that's an ongoing, mostly daily piece. There we go. All right, this is Quick Stitch Iris by Josephine Wall. It's Heaven and Earth Designs, and I'm doing this for my aunt, and I'm hoping to finish it in the next couple months. So I'm down here, and the bottom of this is slowly filling in. I am doing this on 25 count white even weave linen, not sure. It's probably even weave, but it looks a little bit more uneven than linen, but I think it's still even weave. So 28 count even weave on a white even weave, and this is 1/1 full crosses, and it's coming along so nice. It's sometimes hard to see the difference for me, because I work on it every day and it's just chipping away at it, but when you compare the side to side, you do see the difference. So I pick a color along the row, whatever's not done yet, top to bottom, left to right, and so that is all completed from there up, and then from here down I just pick a color, work it till the string runs out, and then pick another color. So I could start color completing at this point. It's very tempting to do that, but I think I'll continue with the way I'm doing it, just because it's fun to see it completed from a certain point. So if I were to color complete, like say this blue here, it would be like there would be bigger patches in some of these places, but it wouldn't be, I don't know. I think I like it the way it is so far, so we'll keep up with that. It helps you, it takes away any decision making that I need to do about what color to do first, and it also helps me tackle the confetti. So for example, this part of the iris is mostly done. There's still a few pockets in here, but this top part is all done, and it's got a decent amount of confetti in there, but because I was picking whichever symbol I got to, I would do that symbol everywhere it appeared. By the time some of these colors were when I was doing this one. So I stitched them here and then I put them down here as well. And then I didn't have to do them when I came down here. So it kind of spread out the confetti a little bit and helped make it a little more manageable. So it has made it nice in that regard. It doesn't feel like there's ever a horrible amount of confetti on this one. And it could have something to do with the nature of this particular project as well, but in general, I think this method is really fun for me, and I've been enjoying it. So I think we can get to my actual plans this week, or what I worked on, my focus pieces. So the first one I had was Waterfall in Yosemite, and I actually got one whole super long length of thread put in, and so I think it was 173 stitches. So I'm working up here in the sky. I would really like to finish the sky this year, or at least the top row of pages, which is like right there. That's my goal. And it probably will happen because I'll work on this as my daily piece once Quick Stitch Iris is finished. I have chosen these pieces that I'm doing for the Full Coverage Fanatics group year-long challenge. They have, this year it's 21,000 stitches in the year 2021. The pieces I'm choosing for that challenge are purposefully full cross projects. Because if I were to choose, most of my full coverage pieces are half cross, and I'd have to double my stitches to make that count, and I don't really want to do that. So I am choosing the projects I have that are full cross to be a part of that challenge. So this one has full crosses because it's on 18 count, and I also have Grapes, which is another full cross one on 18 count that I'm planning to do probably, assuming they have a similar challenge in that group next year. I'll do that one. I'll do Grapes next year, I think, for my year-long full cross challenge in Full Coverage Fanatics. So here is where I got to. And I think I can, there we go, let's stay in frame. I'll show you before and after of just this sky part as well. So I didn't work at all over here in the rocks. I just worked in the sky. So I got some of this white finished, I think, is basically all I did. There may have been some light blue. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. But it's coming along. It's definitely mindless up there in the sky. So I think I enjoy having more to look at and see while I'm stitching. So I will be happy when I get out of the sky and can get into the rocks and the waterfall and the creek and the trees and all of those things. That'll make it more interesting. On the 23rd, I worked on April Fairy. I didn't have a ton of time, but I did enjoy what I was able to do. And because this is another full cross piece, so it's something that I could also do as a daily piece. But because of the method I'm using, I do stitch a little bit slower on this one. So I don't know that I'll ever make it a daily piece, but it's possible. Maybe at some point I will do that and maybe make it my own personal daily thing and not with a stitch count requirement, because I may need to lower this daily stitch count on this one in order to make it practical. But it is fun. I do love the colors. I love the process and the project. And here's where I'm at on this. I'm still parking on this one, and I will keep parking. So here is my progress on this one. This is on 28 count Rose Monaco, and it's 1/1 full crosses, and I'm doing a special stitch by stitch diagonal so that each stitch is, I come up in a hole with 0 or 1 stitches, and I go down in a hole with 2 or 3 stitches already in that hole, so that it's smooth and nice, and I like the results. So I worked a little bit in this area right here, so I still have a little bit more of the diagonal to go, but for one day when I didn't have my normal amount of stitching time, I think that's pretty good progress. I got 81 stitches, which is still a nice number because that's my birth year. Yay! Go 81. So that's fun. That's all I got done on that one. I am planning to bring this out for some time in April because it's April Fairy. It seems appropriate. Right now I have it written down for, okay, I am gonna plan to bring this out for a little bit in April because that's only appropriate. It's an April Fairy. I need to work on it in April. So I'll have to make sure my plans include that. Give it 2 or 3 days, I think, would be nice. Just at least finish that diagonal and get started on the next one. Okay, so then I worked on Dragon Ride for my son. This is another one. I got one really long length of blended thread put in and called it good. So this is Dragon Ride by Teresa Wentzler, and doing this for my middle son who loves dragons. And here it is. So I'll do a close-up of the dragon's body. So I don't think, did I do anything besides, oh yeah, I did. I picked the color that filled in his body right here. There's some more colors in here that are different, purpley reddish colors. But this color that finished filling in here, I kept going down here. There's another color that was still missing down here. And over here and down here. And then I had a little bit more on my string, so I went down here and finished off my string. So that's what I did. He's pretty fun. This is 28 count light blue even weave by MCG Textiles, and it's 2/2 for the most part, except for the man who is 1/1. And he's charted that way. So little bits on all of these. During the week, it kind of gets busy sometimes. And then the 25th, I was able to start the Frosted Pumpkins Cozy Cafe Club. And this is their yearly stitch along for mystery stitch along for 2021. And this is the first piece. It starts out with the title, cafe menu, and then the first drink, which is raspberry mocha. I do not like coffee of any kind, so I like tea, hot chocolate, cider, several other types of hot drinks. So I will be editing the titles. I had originally thought maybe I would take out parts of it and it would end up being a smaller design, but I think since all the parts are so cute, I might just keep all the parts and just edit the titles. So this one I'm going to change to say cocoa, so it would be raspberry cocoa, because there's some brown in here, and a mocha is chocolatey, so I think it would be appropriate to be hot chocolate with raspberry syrup. It works, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to change the M to a C, change the H to an O, and it'll be easy to change that to raspberry cocoa. On the 25th, I didn't get that much time to work on it, so I talked with Colette, the Highway Stitcher, again on Friday afternoon, and so I went ahead and continued on this a little bit more so I could get the top menu finished. And I actually changed some of the colors. I'm planning to do all of the regular items as charted in DMC, but I figured for the titling, and there's a shelf right here that's light, like a pale tan color, and then this lacy bit that's in front of the shelf. Those are kind of border elements, and I thought for the border elements I could choose Fancy Floss for my stash and then just do the charted DMC for everything else. So I decided to choose DMC Variations 4000 for the title. It's a brown with some blues and dark blue and gray in it as well, so it's more highly variegated. They called for 844, which is a dark gray, and so this kind of had a similar tone that matched some of the other colors nicely, so I went with that. And then I did rose gold color and cotton for the shelf. It's showing up redder to you. It's very light yeah, it's not as red to you. It's a light tan, a beigey tan. And then this is Fresh Wool by Color and Cotton for the lace, because their lace I think was ecru, so it did have a more of a warm tone to it. So these matched pretty well to the called for colors, only gave it a little bit of variegation. So I thought that was fun. So here's my start. All that to say, I got the titling done in that DMC 4000, so it does change a little bit. And this is on 25 count vintage cloth in the color Prim, the same stuff I'm doing the Prim Stitch series on. I'm doing a 1/1 full crosses, and so mine will be really tiny and cute. I do have a few petite beads that are a dark red, so these beads that are called for look like they're a brighter red, so we'll see if the ones I have will work as petite beads, and if not, maybe I'll just add some French knots or something. I'm hoping the petite beads that I have will match well enough that I can just use those, because I think that'll be fun. And I didn't want to have to buy anything extra for this, so I'll just work with what I have in my stash. So, so far that's super cute, and I do want to stay on top of this one and not get too far behind. So for the beginning of April, this will be my main plan. I will work on my husband's Simpsons piece on the 1st, but then the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, before I come film again, I will try to get this first part done. Originally, they were going to have the second part come out on the 1st, but when they postponed the start date, I think they also bumped back the second release to later in April. I'll have to double check that date because I don't actually know that. So I have to make sure to plan some time for this in April as well, for part number 2, because I already have part number 1 time planned, but I just realized today I'm going to need to plan in some more time for part number 2 later in the month. So I'll double check when that next part comes out. And then later on Friday, I worked a little bit on Enchanted Alphabet. And I think I did this a little bit on Saturday as well to finish the letter. I had K partially finished last time, so I went ahead and worked on the letter K, and I needed to do some on Saturday as well to make sure that got done. I didn't want to leave it with a letter not finished. So this is by Lavender and Lace. It's an older chart, but you can find it for a reasonable price on eBay. That's where I found mine. I think it was like $6 or something. So it might not be that cheap right now, but if you like it, I'm sure there's copies out there, and it's not super expensive. So this is what I'm stitching mine on. This is, I think, 48 count Society Time linen, and I'm stitching 1/2. Because it is hand dyed, it shrunk a little bit, so the stitches are essentially 25 count sized stitches, only it's over 2. So it is very small to see. But it's pretty fun. I like how delicate it is. It does take a little bit extra effort to make sure that you're counting correctly. But I finished this K, so I got all of this purpley color done, and then this darker dark blue finished as well. So now that letter is done. Next time I pick this up, I can actually work on something else, a different element. So I think I should be able to show you a couple more things, and then I got to go pick up my son. He is actually starting, today is his first day of in-person school in over a year at the junior high. So the secondary schools in our town started today for their hybrid program where they're half online, half in person. So yay! So excited. So now all of my kids are in the half and half program with some hopefully plans for the younger kids to go back full time in a few weeks. I'm not holding my breath because things change a lot, as we all know. But that's the tentative plan at this point, that we have a date for going back full time. So that's super exciting. Okay, Saturday I worked on End of the Ball. And this is this one. This is a golden kite. And I'm doing this like I'm doing my quick stitch iris, where I'm picking colors from the top row and working them till they run out. And still over here in these drapes, but I got some more done in this area. I think one more color came over here into their hair. got a decent amount done on this one. I got 585 stitches. It just kept adding up because they're half stitches and background. So it tended to go quickly. So here is, I'll put it on this. Here's where I'm at now. This is on 24 count Congress cloth in ivory, I believe. And it's 2/1 half stitches. So I'll get a little bit closer, maybe have the picture farther over here. But as you can see, the top line is getting filled in, and so some of this got filled in. Some of this went farther over here. These are their heads, and so I got a little bit more done in some of those areas too. So that's pretty exciting. So every little bit counts, and 585 stitches of background is great. So I'm happy with that. One last one, and then I will go pick up my son. So this is Princess de Broglie. This will be the last of the main ones I worked on this week, and then when I come back, I'll share my plans. So this is another golden kite, and I have cropped the top row of pages off and this row, the column of pages. So it's missing a little bit, but I'm pretty happy with that. So this is where I got to on this one. This is on 28 count mushroom, I think it's mushroom even weave by MCG Textiles. This is 2/1 half stitches, and I got another decent amount done on this one. This was Sunday. 441 half stitches. So I had some yellow, light yellow on my needle already. It was a pretty long piece, so I did yellow here and in her face, and in order to finish the string, I came down here into her shoulder as well. And then I came back up here and did actually 2 different colors in this corner. This is a dark strip along the wall, and then this is lighter colors. So once I get down to that next stitch, it'll probably fill in more of that wall area there. So that's where she's at now. So I'm excited to make more progress on her. She was a restart, so it is nice to see her coming together on this new fabric. And it does go quicker because my old one was on 18 count with a full cross, so this is going up, stitching up a little bit faster. And not having the extra background that I'm cropping off is great. So with that, I will pause here and come back hopefully today and share my plans with what I'm going to do this coming week. So see you in a minute. Okay, I'm back. So now my plans going forward into this coming week. Starting today, I'll work a little bit on my Mill Hill butterfly, hopefully. And then I have planned to work also on Rosetto for a little while because I just had so much fun working on this last month. So I thought I'd pull it out again for a day here. And potentially my other I have one more full coverage piece for the history sprints in Full Coverage Fanatics. And then another, I have Twisted Band Sampler for another day. So I want to work on this one the most. So I think if I need the time, I might work on this for 2 days just to finish it up. But I would like to get to both this and Twisted Band Sampler. So we will see how that works. So let's see. Keep this in a pillowcase. And here is where it's at now. This is on, I believe, 18 count mono canvas, probably in ivory. You can see the sparkle. That's pretty fun. This calls for all sorts of interesting fancy flosses. So that's the starting point. And I think it's likely that I will work on these 2 next. So those are these like zigzaggy ones. So they might not take too long. We will have to see. So that's the plan for today. Mondays are usually busy, and today seems a little extra busy because I have an appointment this afternoon. So we will see if I can get enough done on that I feel like I want to just finish it up on a second day, or if I get hardly any done on it, and I'll just, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. And then the 30th, I'm going to work on Knitting Woman, which is a family piece, but I plugged it in here because it goes along with the last history sprints for Full Coverage Fanatics, where we have a date in March throughout history, and we pick something. I'm picking things according to the theme and just working on them for one day. This last one, March 30th, 1932, Amelia Earhart was the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic, and the theme is woman. So since it's knitting woman, I figured that was very appropriate. So I have several projects with a woman in them, but I like to work on this once a month, so it worked to put it in there. So this is Knitting Woman. I'm working on this for my mom. She knows about it, so it's not a surprise, but this is representing her, this is representing me, and she loves cats and she loves knitting, so it's perfect. Yeah, I don't know where I'll go with this one, so we'll just have to wait and see. But this is on 22 count Aida, 2/1 half stitches, and recently I decided to start working on this the same way I've been doing the other ones, where I pick something along the top to bottom, left to right, that I haven't done yet, and working on it till it's finished. So I do have some down here that are all the way to the bottom of the piece. I think this is the bottom, or very close to the bottom of the design down here. So that's about how big it'll be. And looks like the top stitches are in here. So I'll be working on some more skin in the arms, likely. So, and sometimes these arm colors end up down here in her hands that she's knitting with. So I'll see how much I can get done on this. This is 2/1 half stitches as well, which I think I forgot to say, on 22 count Aida. The coverage is pretty thin in like the dark areas, but when you step back, it's good enough that I'm moving on with it. I don't think I would do it again though, so I would not recommend that as a coverage option. I think full cross might be a little bit better, but you would still see some show through, I think, on 22 count. Either way you go, unless you do a 2-stranded cross stitch, in which case it would no show through, but it might be too thick. So I think 20 and 22 count tend to be tricky for full coverage. As far as coverage goes, they're either too thick or too thin, depending on your taste. If you have fabric you're considering using for a full coverage, this 20 or 22 count, test stitch a little bit first in a dark color, preferably, to see if you like how it looks. If you have, or choose a darker fabric, because then it wouldn't matter as much. If the majority of your piece is dark, choose a slightly darker fabric. Don't choose white, and then it might help fill in the gaps and not be as obvious that you have low coverage. That's something that I do like to do. Choose an ivory or a mushroom or tea dyed or something. You could even do blue, things like that, if it's similarly complementary color, to the piece, then it wouldn't be a bad thing to show through a little bit. Okay, and if I have time, I would like to put a little bit more time into Twisted Band Sampler. I keep seeing Needlecraft Danny working on this. This is her like away from home stitching every week. So we had been like neck and neck for a while, and now she's totally past me because she's working on this pretty regularly. So I'm jealous, but it's motivating me to want to get mine out again. So I will give it at least one day, hopefully here in March, and maybe a longer chunk of time in the future. So this is this one. I'm doing this on the called for 32 count bisque linen by Lakeside Needlecraft. Lakeside Linens, I think, not Lakeside Needlecraft, Lakeside Linens. And I've reached the corner over here. This is the edge of the piece. And I am doing some specialty stitches. I believe these ones, I don't remember what they're called, but they take up a lot of time to do each stitch because there's so many legs of stitching in each block. But they're pretty fun. So once I finish this stitch, these are mirrored stitches, so this one and this one are the same, so then I'll still have some of these ones to do, and then this one on this side. So I'm not sure how much I'll get done. I think it would be an accomplishment just to finish that row of those complicated time-consuming stitches. So that could be a good goal to have. Anyways, I'm doing this on the called for 32 count bisque linen, which is a nice creamy white. The stitches are, the cross stitch portions are 2/2, and then the specialty stitch portions are just one strand with whatever specialty stitch is called for. And I'm using the DMC conversion that comes with the pattern. They come with, I think, 2 or 3 different kinds. I think they have dinky dyes, maybe a Verissois, and DMC. So I'm just using the DMC that they recommend. And it's coming along pretty nicely. So we'll see. That would be fun to do a little bit on that here this month. Okay, so going into April, my plans for most of April are to work on my family pieces for 1 day each. So I have 6 of those. And then for everything else, I want to work on things that I didn't get to work on as much as I wanted to in the month of March. That's almost all of my plans. There is one weekend in Full Coverage Fanatics where they want us to work on something with a lot of confetti. So I'll be that'll be a wonderful event to work on my stitching shelf. Because I was telling you last week even that I have those. I'll show you a picture while I'm talking. I have a bunch of parked threads up here that I want to work in so they're not in the way when I'm working extreme cross country like I'm doing. So a challenge called Confetti Conquistadors is not picking a specific item, because a lot of times I'll use this piece to work on a specific item because there's so many different things to pick from. But something that's just focusing on confetti is perfect for filling in these parked threads. So that's my goal. That'll be later in the month, 16, 17, and 18. I'll work on filling in parked threads on that piece. I'll show that to you later when I get to it, but I thought so excited when I remembered that was this month, because that'll be perfect to work on this piece to get those filled in. So this first few days, I mentioned before, I'm going to work on my Cozy Cafe Club for most of the time, this first part of April. And then on the first itself, I will work on my Simpsons piece for my husband, because that's back to the original dates that I usually like to work it on. And that's a random eBay pattern that's no longer available. And this is where I'm starting from. This is 40 count Vertil even weave. I'm doing it 1/1 half stitches, so they're very tiny. And I decided last time that I am going to continue with this one, picking symbols from the top down. And so last time I picked 3 or 4 symbols off the top of her head, and they ended up coming down here, filling out a little bit of Maggie and filling out some of her head. Even had some light blue in this paper area. So I'm going to do that, because it does take a lot of the what color should I work on now, angst out of the process, and you see things completely filled from the top down, and I really like the motivation that offers as well. So I'll go ahead and do that. So I'm not sure how much you'll see next time, because sometimes if I'm only working on outline stitches, you can't see a ton of progress, but that's the way I'm going to work on that one from now on. And so hopefully you'll be able to see some difference. That one will be Thursday. And I'll work on Cozy Cafe Club by the Frosted Pumpkin to try to get part 1 stitched up. And I'll work on that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So if I have more time those 3 days, and the second part is not yet out, I will work on something else. I don't know what. We'll have to wait and see what strikes my fancy. Maybe I'll work a little bit more on the Prim Stitch series, although I do have plans to work on that for several days the following week. So we'll see. We'll see if I finish that early, and if not, I don't need to worry about it. But if I do, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. So I think that's all I have to show you and all I have time to show you. So we will sign off now, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Enjoy the beginning of April and have fun stitching. Bye.